What is up, guys? Zan from the ZAN Madden YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at my game that I played last night in the Muthead ProAm, sponsored by America's Navy. I had an opportunity to fill in for Hollywood Brown, who was unable to make it due to some power outage issues. He was scheduled to take on Derwin James, and got the call from Rockets at Muthead late yesterday to ask me to fill in. Very, very blessed to be able to fill in for Hollywood Brown against Derwin James. Now, if you don't know, Derwin James is arguably the best Madden player in the NFL. Amongst all those NFL athletes, he is above the rest. There are guys like Derwin, Joe Mixon, very, very solid players. Hollywood Brown, also very, very good. And this tournament, or not really a tournament, but a pro-am that was sponsored by America's Navy, involved two members of the Navy who selected a mix of Madden pros, guys like Joke, D. Croft, Clef the God, Boogs, etc., and then also NFL athletes that play Madden. And the way that this format worked was there was matchups between the NFL athletes and also the Madden pros. And for every single game, depending on the 4-game series, the two Navy members went into the final game with a point spread. So for each of these games, if a guy finished 4-0 in their series, a guy's team finished 4-0, they would go into the final game with a 14-point spread. And ultimately, the team that won $10,000 split 5 ways, $2,000 for the Navy men, and then obviously $2,000 for each of the team members. Unfortunately, I couldn't really give a win to my team since I was representing Hollywood Brown. So Derwin and I basically played an exhibition game. From a standing standpoint, they gave Derwin the win via forfeit of Hollywood, but invited me and gave me the opportunity to play against Derwin. So Hollywood Brown's team was the Houston Texans, and his design was to be a quarterback run offense. When I got the call to fill in, I was told I would have to use the Texans. So I had to really lab up quickly. And as you see here, I'm still going to run the 3-4 bear, but I put J.J. Watt at the outside linebacker spot because he has edge threat elite. I can't play him interior as a nose tackle or a defensive end in the bear because his ability won't activate. So I had no choice but to play him as a stand-up outside rushing linebacker in this game against Derwin. Derwin, on the other side, during this picks and bans phase, they banned teams like the Ravens due to Lamar Jackson and other teams as well. As I hit a swivel spin on the punt return, Taiwan Jones trying to get to the corner here. Gives me good field position out near midfield after that 3-and-out to start the game. But I basically had to lab an offense on the fly. Again, this is regular team head-to-head. I have no route chems. I have no, dashing deadeye, even though I do have an escape artist in Deshaun Watson. But I had to create an offense on the fly. So I went back to, the first offense I ran this year, which was Oakland. And I decided to just kind of create a quick passing offense out of the weak close flex and the I-form close slot. Two formations I really didn't run a whole heck of a lot this year, but late in the year I decided to go to it. So kept my defense, had to kind of mold the roster on the Texans for this tournament or for this pro-am to fit what I do from a scheme standpoint. And then on offense, I just thought to myself, okay, well, I've got some speed. I've got Gillespie, who's an 88 speed fullback. I could play that at tight end. I could put Duke Johnson, who's a good receiving back, at fullback. I could use Lamar Miller. And then obviously I have good speed in Will Fuller and also a post-flag elite in Nuke Hopkins. So my goal here was to use Will Fuller consistently underneath, get him the ball as much as possible, and try to open up Hopkins deeper. Right here, I'm trying to set up a cover 2 beater, and he audibles into cover 4. Now, I actually kept this in my mind. I probably could have thrown that ball to Hopkins, but the fact that I didn't have dashing deadeye, I knew I had the scramble with Watson for the first down there, so I went ahead and took the yards that were just given my way. I'm thinking right here I'm playing with house money. Derwin went 3-and-out on his first drive. I'm just going to try to get points off of the good field position, not take a risk and throw an interception in that spot. But I definitely, when I went to that motion, I logged that motion into the back of my head. I knew I had that corner route. So that's something that I was going to remember the rest of the game. This dive right here, I'm just motioning Fuller across. I want to see what type of coverage shell he's playing. Is he playing his safeties downhill in the run game, which will open up the middle of the field? He's running 3-3-5. You could definitely tell that Derwin's got a grip of the game from a meta standpoint. He does run the effective things on both sides of the ball. He's in the Oakland tour himself, running the ball a fair amount in this game. and he runs his fair share of 3-4 odd and 3-3-5 wide, which are far and away the two most popular defenses in Madden that you see online. But you see right here, I'm just kind of feeling him out here on my first drive, using a lot of motion. I want to use that motion consistently of Will Fuller across the formation to tell, one, is he in man, where a guy will follow Fuller across the formation, or two, is he in zone, where that's going to give me the opportunity to play some high-low games on the outside. I immediately noticed right here, he goes into the 3-4 odd after I picked up some solid yardage on him. And I decided to set up kind of a rollout right here. And this is what I wanted to do with my offense. I wanted to get Will Fuller the ball out in the flat, but I was really struggling getting him to turn up on that swerve rack. You see that throw was there, just a bad click on, a bad pass. I'm not sure if I was too late right there, but I really wasn't able to get that ball into his hands in space, which was my initial plan. Part of the problem when you play Mutt all year is you kind of get spoiled on certain abilities. I certainly hear it here on feedback when I do tips that involve a certain route chem or a certain hot route master tip, and people are like, hey, I only play regs, this doesn't fit me. And I definitely felt that going into this game. Now, Derwin, on the other hand, he plays regs. He's a regs player. He also plays, CFM, as I go right back to that rack swerve in the flat, and just couldn't get him turned up field to catch that. You see how much room was out there, just probably went too deep into the backfield before turning him up the sideline for that rack catch. So I end up with 3rd down and 10 right here. And I noticed that he's in a 3-4 front, and it looked like he man aligned. So it told me right here that he probably was in man coverage. So what I ended up doing right here, thinking that he was in man coverage, is I set up a corner route to Nuke Hopkins, thinking, okay, if this is man to man, Hopkins on the post flag elite will torch his guy. I go to motion of Will Fuller right here, and he's in zone. This time I hit the flat, and Fuller's able to get the edge and fall forward for the 1st down. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right here, is I want to use this motion, and if guys follow telling me it's man coverage or at least a man-aligned defense, I can work the corner routes to Hopkins one-on-one with no extra zone out there because of the man-align. But if they're in zone, I'm going to take my check down in the flat if they're not playing a flat zone out there out wide. So it gives me a 1st down and goal here at the 9. Again, motion, Hopkins trying to hit that dive, and Danielle Hunter is able to make the tackle. One thing I definitely was worried about in this game was the Vikings pass rush abilities, and also Harrison Smith with that enforcer. I wanted to try to nullify those guys as much as possible with the quick pass game and the run game. So you're going to see that there's a decent mix of the run and the pass in this game for me as I take this to the 2nd quarter. So good start for me. 3 and out on defense on my first drive. Move down the field, a little matriculation, not, the big play stuff that I'm looking for quite yet. I'm trying to get a feel for what he's doing situationally on 1st and 2nd downs. It's going to allow me to open it up a little bit later in the game. So you see right here, I start to set a few audibles. I want to start getting into audibling into some secondary stuff. I set the stretch for the I-form close slot, and I come back out in this weak I close flex. You see right here, I'm going to go to that stretch, definitely get audible to stretch to the twin side of the formation here and try to pound this downhill with the Texans. One thing I noticed a lot in this game was that Derwin on defense, he does a lot of spamming click on, click off. I think he's trying to bait his opponents when he plays into trying to spin. And then because he's clicking on and clicking off so fast, it'll help those enforcers get those tackles. So I try to play super conservative here. And make sure that I'm not taking chances with, Harrison Smith, who's one of the enforcers that are in the game. Here, 3rd down and goal. I'm thinking I've got house money. I've got ball at half. Let's go ahead and keep the ball on the ground. He went 3 and out, and I'm going to go ahead and take my points here, thinking that maybe I could put a little bit of pressure on him to go out and try to answer me after such an empty drive for himself on that first drive. So 3-0. I'm a little bit upset that I wasn't able to finish that drive, but I also know that I have a few tricks left up my sleeve in terms of what I saw when I did some of the motions and the way he was checking his coverage. One thing that he did was he did a good job of mixing up his calls. He didn't do a whole heck of a lot of intricate setups in terms of, moving guys around, but he had a good grasp of what to audible to based off of motions. And I mean, that can be a testament to 2 things. 1, the guy obviously plays secondary in real life, and 2, he's a very, very good Madden player. In fact, I was able to sit down with him back at the Super Bowl. I was actually doing a activation with Muthead, and I was able to go down to Miami, and I met Derwin in February, and we talked about defensive philosophy, how I defend things out of 3-4 bear, which was another thing that I talked about at the top of the show when we were being interviewed by Nick Mazesco and One Great User. Was how prepared was I after playing mud all year to hop back into regs and not really have my offensive playbook or defensive playbook And also the fact that Derwin knows the way that I run my defense, because we had a little powwow down in Miami, and actually, talked to him a little bit after we got back from the Super Bowl via DMs as well, to kind of answer a few questions he had about the defense. So I knew really well that he had a great idea what I was going to do. And you could see that he adjusted well here on his second drive as he goes into the single back wing close flex, which is a very, very tough formation to defend in regs with the 3-4 bear. A lot of times bear gets called a mutt defense. I think I've proven all year long that it's really not a mutt defense. I think it's a top tier run defense, but I struggle on this drive to stop him as he starts to go to some of this weak zone stuff and running it to the twin side of the field. The other thing that was a big time concern for me as I played this game was that I had JJ Watt and I had to play him at outside linebacker. He has edge threat elite. So I can't play him at the defensive end spots because they are technically lined up inside the tackles. So that would make his ability not viable. And the concern is, while he could probably block shed well, is he fast enough to block shed and pursue a guy like Dalvin Cook? You're going to see just how painful it is to defend Dalvin Cook in regs here in this game. One thing that I realize a lot of players say as he goes out second goal right here, if you actually take a look at it, what I tried to do was I tried to base align and man up Phillip Gaines, who was the outside corner on that slot receiver. I knew that the bubble was coming, but I was trying to bait that bubble by manning up and base aligning, thinking that Phillip Gaines would jump inside and pick off that throw. I've done that countless times in Mutt. And it's not necessarily that you need a 99 overall player to do it. It's just that when you're limited in the secondary, sometimes those play recognition things don't kick in regs because players are considerably lower rated in awareness, play recognition, agility, speed, those types of things that you might get a little bit spoiled on when you can pick who your corner is in salary cap from a competitive standpoint or in Mutt if you're playing weekend league style. So, I think it's true that there are situational adjustments that I use in Mutt that don't necessarily work as well in regs, but I think you're going to notice right here in this particular video, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. As Derwin goes through the Oakland tour, you're definitely going to see a lot of the things that I teach here on the YouTube channel, not only in the YouTube channel, but also in my my ebooks, which you guys can check at my PayHip account. I teach all these things and I actually employ them as I run them. So see right here on my second drive, he had a really good drive, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, we got to open this up a little bit. I had a feel out drive on my first drive. I've got ball at half. Let's see if we can pop the top on his defense right here. Right here, I'm expecting a cover 2 defense, and I catch him in it, but he did a really good job with his adjustments, I believe, right there to play the soft squat so my post couldn't get open over the top. He also played a middle third right there. So again, that was really good scouting by him to know that I was probably going to a deep half one play touchdown against the cover 2 shell, and to make sure that he was playing soft squat to follow the post right there. Again, another thing that I logged into my memory bank as I try to go out here on this drive. Again, right here, I caught him in that cover 2. So right here, I try to go to a soft squat beater. So I put B on a flat, thinking that if he's playing the soft squat on Fuller, I'm going to at least be able to pull that soft squat off and try to play, beat the man coverage. But again, right here, he does a good job of adjusting, but so do I. I was able to hit a little tight end delay fade. Darren Fells able to pick up a nice chunky yardage, 14 yards and a first down. So I'm really feeling out still his coverage defense now. Right there in that first drive, I got a feel for how he liked to defend the run. Now I start to go to the coverage defense. Here on that spot, I know that it's inside the 2-minute warning. I quick snap a stretch because I know that he's probably going to think he has more time to set up his defense than he does. And I was able to kind of crack off a spin move as he was doing the click on, click off spam. And I spun out Trey Waynes for a nice gain. So sets me up with 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line. Now, on my last drive, I talked to you about how he liked to check his defense as I went to a certain motion. You notice I talked about how I knew I had the corner route on the rollout, but I didn't trust the dashing dead eye. So I just went ahead and picked up the first down. I want you to watch how I go back to that exact same setup and trust the process here. I see him go to the exact same check. I roll out this time, and I know I have it. And I go to the back corner. Will Fuller finds the back of the end zone for a touchdown. And just like that, I'm back out on top with 45 seconds left in the first half and ball at half. So from a standpoint on the offense right now, I'm thinking to myself, I'm pretty confident in where I'm at schematically. I'm able to kind of soften him up a little bit with the run and the motion. And it's opened up some of the bigger stuff on my second drive, really my first drive passing on him. So right here in this spot, I'm thinking to myself, okay, he had a really quick drive on his last drive with Dalvin Cook. Single back wing close flex was getting to me. I need to make sure that I am dedicated to my gap integrity. I did a bad job getting my setups done in time. Another thing he did is he flipped his strength to the short side a lot in this game. And I constantly thought that he was going to go to the wide side look. One thing you'll notice that I did right there is I backed up my user an extra yard or two compared to the previous drive where I struggled to stop the run. And you'll notice that his lineman couldn't get out and target me, which allowed me to kind of free up and get those stops. Right here, he goes to the strong close. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I had a sack on the first drive. JJ Watt came in free off the edge. And right here, he goes to the I-form close slot. You'll notice I checked into yesterday's video right here. This is yesterday's run tip, and I'm able to do exactly what I did in yesterday's video. So again, practicing what you preach here on the YouTube channel. If it's something I teach you, it's something that I do run, whether it's conceptually or straight out of the playbook as I showed you guys yesterday. And you see that Derwin right there takes his second timeout. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is nice. He just burned a timeout for me. If I can get a stop right here, I might be able to get another field goal before half with the ball coming out. And I go ahead and I set up my defense again here. So I know he's going to that stretch. He highlights his guard, knowing that it's a run pass tell. You can only click onto lineman when it's a run play. And you see right there just how troublesome that Dalvin Cook can be. He's got that jukebox. He basically cut the ball on the ground. He doesn't have an escape artist quarterback. I knew that I had an advantage with JJ Watt, Whitney Merciless against his tackles, DJ Reader against his center. And I actually had a couple backup linebackers with pass rushing ratings that were actually higher than his guards pass blocking ratings. So I knew that if he ever threw, I had 5 matchups against 5 blockers that I could win at due to having higher finesse or power move. So I felt good in terms of when he was going to drop back to pass. I really dedicated myself to stopping the run in this game, knowing that he was going to be playing for those pass rush abilities himself and the fact that he had Harrison Smith back there on defense. So everything is lining up for me at this point. I'm playing solid defense. I am quick passing to nullify Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffin, and I'm staying away from Harrison Smith. From there, I feel like I'm in really good shape. Right here into half, I'm expecting him to be in some sort of deep half look. I actually go to a kind of a weird setup right here. I'm actually trying to roll out and look for X on the out route, and I passed it up. I don't know why I passed that up right there. I actually started to glance backside to the wheel route, and that's why I kind of like did a double take right there. I probably could have thrown an up pass lead on the out cut to the slot receiver, gotten out of bounds, probably a gain of 25 yards. But again, still would have been looking at a pretty long shot for a field goal. So right here with 10 seconds left in the first half, I go ahead and get conservative with it, see if I can pop a big run. And I'm able to get out of bounds, leaving myself with 1 more snap. You see right there, early in the drive, 8 rushes. The first drive was mainly runs. The bulk of those runs were on that first drive, and then I opened it up passing in the second half. So right here at the end of the first half, I think to myself, okay, cover 3 shell. Let's go ahead and run the tight into a corner. I'm going to motion across Hopkins on a streak and see if I can bomb over the top to Will Fuller. You see right here, I'm setting up a rollout to the right, and I'm going to try to throw back to the left, see if I can drag the user away from where I want to throw. But his coverage is protect the sticks, and I go ahead and dump it out of bounds. Good defense by Derwin. I finished the first half, 3 of 6 passing, 51 yards, and a touchdown. But I definitely saw some things that I'm going to exploit here in the second half. So a 10-7 lead, played really good defense on 2 of his 3 drives. He got to me on his second drive. Overall, I'm feeling really, really confident in where I'm at. I'm consistently moving the ball for positive yardage and making good decisions. Again, guys, I can't stress enough how well-versed Derwin James is as a Madden player. He runs the meta setups from 3-4 odd. If you watch any of his tape playing against other Madden pros and also against other NFL players, he runs the offensive and defensive metas to a T, which kind of actually plays into my hands because I'm more of a counter meta guy. I don't really hammer the meta, and I just kind of thought to myself, let's go ahead and try to just do what we do. I don't need the hot route master to beat this. This is something that, I can keep really simple. Right here, I go to Will Fuller, and I'm actually going to go to a flat route. This is what I tried to hit all first half long. You see right here, I knew on this throw, no flat zone, I get it out there, and he starts to go to the click on, click off thing, and I'm able to swerve inside of Mackenzie Alexander and Will Fuller to the crib. Right there, I did the little right bumper spam, just kind of trolling back just a little bit. You notice that when he runs the ball at all times, he's spamming that right bumper. I don't really think it does anything, but I just kind of try to troll him back a little bit as I slip to the inside And again, Will Fuller doing all the heavy lifting for me in this game. The goal was to take Will Fuller, number one, in the flat all game long if it was given to me, make him defend Will Fuller, and that would open up Nuke Hopkins. So at this point, he's focused on Hopkins. I'm going to continue to check it down to Fuller and play the run game and try to leak the tight end out as much as possible. When you only have that post flag elite, you know that that's where the user's going to be, middle of the field. I don't really have playmaker ability, so a lot of players when they play against the Texans, it's usually against bunch, and they have to worry about those checkdowns in the bunch. You see right there, I go to the bait run defense from yesterday, and Dylan Cole's able to make a tackle for a loss in the backfield, -3, second down and 17. So right now, you could definitely tell Derwin knows he's not going to get the two back rolling against me. He goes back to the single back. Again, I back up McKinney as much as I possibly can. We get him to throw right here. And I send JJ Watt from the flat zone, and he throws it right to me, and Dalvin Cook jumps in front of the receiver. It wasn't even intended for Dalvin Cook. Big time break there for Derwin. Definitely should have been a pick right there with Benardrick McKinney. But no harm, no foul. He goes back to the run. I go back to run defense. JJ Watt, good shed, makes the tackle for loss as I scrape and funnel Dalvin Cook back to the inside. Second down and 11. Again, staying true to my gap integrity. I'm not going to let Dalvin Cook beat me. I want him to beat me with Kirk Cousins. And he goes back to pass. I immediately know it's a crossing route to Thielen. McKinney all over it. And he gets sucked into another aggressive catch animation. Not a whole lot I could do there. I basically allowed 60 yards passing on 2 of his 3 completions, and they both probably should have been interceptions. Could definitely argue that it's a linebacker, but I thought I was smothering the route combinations both times. You can tell he's definitely uncomfortable. He goes right back into the wing, or the strong H wing right here. And I know that I'm just looking to stop that stretch looky. He checks in the I form. I'm able to check out of my situational defense back into my I form tight defense. And again, you just see bodies on the ball carrier, really nothing doing, 1 yard there for him. So he's not getting his run game going. I was going to make him beat me with Cousins and Thielen. I don't want Dalvin Cook going nuts on me in this game. And again, he did a really good job. One thing that he did constantly in this game was flip his strength and catch me off guard. You see right there, I wasn't able to get my user back enough, and he was able to quick snap me back the other direction. Most players, when they run their single back wing close flex, they run their stuff to the wide side of the field. He was actually running his strength of the formation to the short side. Right there, I get my user in position, and I make contact with the ball carrier behind the line of scrimmage. From a reg standpoint, you take out the long run that he had with Dalvin Cook, I'm doing a really good job playing run defense. You have to imagine right here, I'm actually playing with, kind of some weaker pass rushing linebackers at the end in this one. So the middle run was not really there. Right here, again, a good user scrape. I'm able to make a nice play there with Phillip Gaines and Benardrick McKinney to bring up 3rd down and goal. Right here, I know that I have to play conservative. I'm not going to play too aggressive here in this spot. I don't want him to have the bubble. So I think to myself, okay, I'm going to leave JJ Watt out there to play that bubble, and he'll have to run the stretch there. This time, doesn't throw that bubble and pick up the touchdown. I'm able to hold to 3. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we've got ourselves a touchdown lead. All I need at this point is a field goal, and we're going to ice this game away. His offense has not really been able to get vertical on me. You saw the 2 plays that he tried to get vertical. I had what were assuredly interceptions that didn't go my way. And I know at this point that I just, if I don't mess up, I'm going to win this ball game. And just kind of take that attitude. I'm going to continue to grind clock, not necessarily milk clock, but I'm going to use the motion. I'm going to try to decipher his coverage, see if he's checking out of things into base coverages like he did early in the first half, and just take what's given to me. So again, I'm going to stick with this I form close slot, the weak eye close flex, and just work the formation here. So I come out twins the wide side here. I've been using Fuller all game on motion, and I'm thinking this is the time to get Nuke Hopkins involved. So right here, I'm setting up a rollout to the wide side. I motion Fuller out, put him on a streak to pull out the outside zone down the sideline. And I know that flat defender is not going to be able to defend Hopkins. And I dump it over the top of him and pick up the 1st down on a simple rollout flood concept. 5 of 8, 152, 2 touchdowns. Very, very efficient so far in this one. Offense is definitely moving. I think I had about a 9 yards per play average in this game, and I just kept it honest. It wasn't anything too forced. Just tried to constantly give them looks, flip from kind of a tight slots into a more of a tight, which changes who the motion receiver is on the twin side of the formation. And right here, I'm going to a bench concept, just a little flat corner combination. You see right there, I'm actually to rack it upfield there with Fuller, something I was terrible at on my first drive. I threw those 2 incomplete passes. That time I get the result I'm looking for. And we take it to the fourth quarter with me in field goal range. So did exactly what I needed to do there heading into the fourth quarter. Got myself into field goal range with 5 minutes to go. I know at this point I've got a 2-possession lead. His offense has been a little bit slow in terms of pace of play. And I think to myself, let's keep the ball on the ground and start burning some clock. Right here in this spot, although I can't really get any rankings points for my team because of Hollywood Brown not being able to show up, that was a forfeit. I still want to show well and respect, be somebody that could at least put together a good show for my team captain. So trying to get outside right there. That was honestly the biggest nervous moment of the game. I broke that tackle right in front of Harrison Smith. Pretty fortunate to not get hit sticked off of that broken tackle. And I'm able to keep the clock rolling. 3rd down and 2. I would have really liked to pick up a first down right here. I'm thinking to myself, I got to burn another 2 minutes of clock here. And I need this yardage. Go back to that same bench concept, looking for Will Fuller in the flat. It's not there. I roll out. I see the spy in the middle of the field, which I know I can pull. And then I dump it to Gillespie late. I go back to a route combination I used at the end of the first half for a big 3rd down conversion right there in that same spot. Fortunately, he didn't have anybody manned up on that tight end. So I know at this point, hey, there's another 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes I can burn. And I decide to go into the I-form Y off, which has a stretch lookie. Can't really get the corner on Eric Kendricks. I thought I might have it, maybe a speed point or 2 more, and I'm able to pick up the first down. Problem is right there is that I was tackled out of bounds. If I go back at this game and look at mistakes that were made, this is one of the couple mistakes. I do right here realize that with the field goal locked in, that I can't afford to fumble. That's really the only thing that's going to cost me in this game. I go to conservative, and I tell myself, let's go ahead and just make sure we're staying in bounds right here. You know, we're not going to break any tackles and fall out of bounds. The clock is almost as important as the scoreboard at this point. If I keep the clock rolling and get myself a field goal to go up 10 with basically 2 minutes and change to go, there's, you know, a 95% chance I'm going to win that game. So in here, I don't try to go outside. I just stay up inside, and I am content taking my 3 points. So you see right here also, the other thing that I'm doing is, yes, I could have worked the clock, but you know, I would have give a, you know, a little bit of an opportunity here. I'm not saying that I sandbagged it all right there, but again, there was about a minute of clock that I could have burned off. At least been at the 2 minute warning easy right there, and making Derwin burn a timeout. Instead, he's got, you know, a full bevy of timeouts. If he can get himself a score, he's going to be in a spot where he can burn those timeouts and you know, just try to keep it interesting again. I want to win, but I also wanted to, you know, didn't want it to be super dull where it's like you're watching the clock drip. I didn't feel like the pace of play in this game was a bad one. You know, it was Oakland tour, but I thought it was a good mix of the run and the pass, and that I was able to do enough passing the ball to keep it pretty good. Right there, you're seeing just how tough Regs can be to stop the run. I just didn't have the pursuit. Not enough speed, 83, 85 speed. Still can't catch Dalvin Cook to the edge. That's the big difference between Mutt and Regs is you're rocking guys that are 10 speeds slower. Middle linebackers don't go sideline to sideline in Regs like they do in Mutt, which is a major reason a lot of players love to play Regs because you don't have an elite player at every spot. It makes you really scheme around what you have, which is kind of a throwback. Right here, I think Dalvin had a touchdown. I really do. You look back at it, I think that he kind of cost himself spamming right bumper right away. I think that he didn't have that turn to cut inside of that block. If he did, I think he's gone. Right here, I thought he was going to go back to the hitch setup that I sacked him on early, and this time it's a slant. Good read by him. He's able to pick up a first down with Adam Thielen when he needed it most. So the 2 minute warning hits, and I'm thinking, okay, let's just try to keep this in front of us the best we can, and not give up the big play right here where we're going to be in a spot where we're only up 3. So again, I get immediately back with my user thinking he's got to run the ball. Right here, this motion tells me right away it's a run, and I know it's going left, and I'm not sure if my Regs team can handle it. JJ gets the spin animation, but gets picked up by the motion blocker. Unfortunately, that's all he got was 9 on that play. But you see he's about to hit the century mark. Again, I have to flip my play. Wasn't comfortable with the quick snap right there, so I burned a timeout. Again, late in this game, I wasn't super textbook with my late game management, not staying in bounds, not dripping the clock before that field goal to go up 10, at least take it to the 2-minute warning. And also not having my gap integrity and giving Derwin a free timeout were all things that I probably can't afford to do in a competitive setting. But fortunately, we played really good defense in the pass game. He realized he needed to get going. He couldn't afford to have 20 seconds tick off the clock or have to burn his timeouts. And he starts to go to the pass here, which definitely benefits me as he threw that ball in traffic, incomplete. Then right here, you could probably argue on this play that this should have been my third, maybe fourth interception of the ball game as he goes to this angle route to the fullback. My user's there, and my corner jumps it, and we drop another pick. So he's got 4 completions, 2 of them probably intercepted. A third right there should have been intercepted. Probably looking at really only one completion allowed, if you think about it. 1 or 2 completions at most allowed so far in this ball game. Again, he goes back to that same setup. This time he dishes it out of bounds. Good defense there. Not having a mobile quarterback really hurt him in this game because I was able to stop the run, and he didn't really have an underneath passing game. So I know I hold a 3 right there. If you think about it, should be looking at a minute left with 1 timeout if I had played this game a little bit better and by the book from a game management standpoint. But right here, we got something interesting. I've got to go ahead and go out and get a first down to win the game. Derwin's got a chance. And I think that's the most you can ask on a broadcast like this. Again, very blessed to have filled in for, Hollywood Brown against Derwin James. This was actually a matchup a lot of people really wanted to see. Hollywood Brown ran a fair amount of quarterback runs, quarterback blasts. There was actually a picks and bans phase similar to, I think, is it League of Legends? One of those games where, the teams are able to ban certain, characters. They kind of used this in this tournament as well. So some of the teams that were banned were the Eagles because Joke was in it and they didn't want him to have blocking abilities. One that was banned was actually the Ravens because they didn't want Hollywood Brown to have quarterback blast with Lamar. So when he drafted Deshaun Watson for that quarterback run threat, which was more of that quarterback blast or bunch style offense, which is not how I play. I'm not a shotgun player. So trying to lab up an offense that could at least, move me down the field with a minute to go, it was a little bit tough. This was really the spot where I didn't have comfortable short yardage stuff outside of the motion flats that were setting up corner routes and things like that. So here on 3rd down and 5, I'm thinking to myself, he's got 1 timeout left. We got to make him burn this here. I can't give him the ball back with a timeout. So I already know at this point I'm punting. So I go back to the dive. I'd picked up solid yardage on this earlier. Good block shed right there by Anthony Barr. Make him burn that last timeout. And right here, you can see I talked to myself, nothing, no jukebox is what I was telling myself. No jukebox. And I'm thinking to myself, finally, I'm going to be able to see J.J. Watt play in this game. He had a sack early in the game when he was on a passing down, and I sent a nice little rush. Right here, I'm thinking to myself, let's go ahead and get into my shotgun defense that I run and let my edge threat elite eat. No, I was really worried about playing J.J. Watt as a stand-up linebacker in this game. Right here, I'm thinking to myself, do I want to put Barkevious Mingo on the field for a little extra speed at linebacker? I opt to not do that. Trust the lineup that I had looked at before I got into this game. And we go to work right here. So right here, I'm in the pinch dog 3. See, I show a little play art right there. Do a couple of adjustments that I don't show. And he goes to this motion across the formation. And I'm just going to be honest. This was a hell of a route combination. He goes to this slant. Match coverage follows. And I have to defend the post. He takes the check down underneath and gets out to midfield. So I'm sitting there like, oh, okay. All right. Where was this a little bit early in the game? Good shotgun, good scheme right there to pull the match coverage. I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I really need J.J. Watt to show up here. This is it. Bunch tight end. He goes into a compression set. And right here is where I know I've got the game won. Bunch just typically does not give me too much of a problem. He goes to a motion right here. And I'm going to tell you what I do. As soon as he goes to this motion, I go to tweak my B corner. You notice that as right as he does this, I'm doing B and I snap onto DJ Reader. So I have to lurk the middle of the field with my nose tackle. And there's my edge threat elite. He gets in there and gets the sack. And there is the runoff in this mode, 12-second runoff. I just got to go ahead and get back one final play. And I get back with Keon Crossan, one of the fastest DBs in the game. Throws it up into triple coverage. And it's fine if it's a drop pick because that means ball game is over as I'm able to get a nice victory over Derwin James. It was a lot of fun to play in this tournament, guys. This Pro-Am, rather. I appreciate America's Navy for given the opportunity to the competitive Madden community. As you see the two captains, Chief Smith and CTN2 Bufford, they are going against each other. And you see Chief Smith right there putting up the 3-0 as Nick Mazesco and one great user on the call for the tournament. I technically was on Bufford's team, and I was the only person who won for Bufford's team last night. Unfortunately, with the way the matchup shook out, unfamiliarity from the Madden pros and regs with the teams that they had after the picks and bans, just didn't fall in our favor. But it was a very big blessing to be able to be called on to fill in this. I really enjoyed working with Muthead, for about 3.5, 4 years to help build the esports program there. To get the call from them, even though I no longer work there, to fill in on short notice was really, really awesome. It made me feel great that they are still supportive of my endeavors after I left it to do things on my own, and it's greatly appreciated. So thanks again to Rockets, Sean at Fandom for putting this together, Antcap, Wizzle, everybody who helps make these events possible. You guys should definitely check out the Muthead TV channel, twitch.tv/MutheadTV. You see right there, Chief Smith, he was capping the entire tournament, and every single time he capped, Mazesco would put on a cap. This was a great event. I really appreciate it. If you guys like this style of commentary every now and then, please let me know if this is something you want to see more of on the channel. I know I do a lot of tips, but it was nice to be able to do a commentary for once here, especially one against such a great opponent. A guy like Derwin James, one of the best safeties in the league, who's also really good at Madden. So if you guys like the video, make sure you guys like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys with our next video. Until then, this is Zan. Get the lab in. Good luck.